Hi everybody, Marcy, the teaching professional at Southwick Park Golf Club. This week's video is on one of the hardest shots in golf, and undoubtedly for most of you, the use of the hardest club in your bag. So I'm talking about long irons, and I think for a lot of people they probably shouldn't have a long iron in their bag. They should be starting their set at 5 or 6 iron. So I'm actually talking about a 4 iron here, but I would consider a long iron to be a 5 or a 6 as well in a modern set. Clubs now are so strong lofted that I think we can probably almost say that a 6 iron is a long iron. So the skill level around this is nearly always in ball position and angle of attack, because it's the same swing, just got to make sure that angle of attack is correct. So the crucial thing for a long iron is you must make sure that the angle of attack is very shallow and very sweeping. If it's hitting down too much, you'll thump it into the ground, it'll squirt off low, it never takes off. Or the other way, sometimes you could push the ball position too far forward and thin it and catch it on the up a little bit. So there's going to be a key point around setup and angle of attack around this. So let's just go with setup first and ball position crucially. So this is back to nuts and bolts golf of all your sets. So if I take my 4 iron here and stick it in the middle of my set, lots of bad things happen. I take the little loft that I've got on it originally off. Obviously, as the more I move the ball position back, the loft starts to disappear. So that's a no-no. But I've moved the point where the club strikes the ground. I've moved the bottom of its arc back in my stance, which I don't want to. So ball position generally needs changing. 9 pitch sand in the middle, and then everything incrementally moving out to your left heel where your driver is. So that would put your 4 iron inside your left heel. I always think by about the head of a golf club. So if you it's going to be somewhere in there. It's noticeably more forward, but it's not so far forward that you're reaching for it. And hopefully that alone will help you sweep and shallow your swing. So I've got a little drill for you that might help you feel that. So I've teed 3 balls up on progressively higher, middle, lower tees to see if I can get you the feeling of sweeping rather than hitting down too much, which you don't need with this long iron. So let me just hit one off the high tee. So when you do this, I want you to hover the club and just feel like you're sweeping. This will be relatively easy for you to do because you're probably used to hitting it off a tee shot. So again, a little bit lower, I'm just going to hover it off the ground by a millimetre or 2. Right, now crucially the last one's going to take a bit of concentration. Expected to count that. And so you're going to have to do a couple of things here. I'd like you to have a practice swing. Start to feel what your contact like is with the ground. You hear that little sweep? That's the sound. Now I'm not a massive fan of hitting off of range mats for irons, but off your long irons it's probably the best practice because it will teach you just to sweep it. You'll get a lot of feedback if you dig this iron in early. You'll have no speed on the club. So let me concentrate. Ball position. Before I hit it, club fitting's crucial with long irons because if I'm trying to make this beautiful little sweep at the bottom of my stroke, if my iron fitting is not correct, let's say it's a little bit tight, and I'm going to dig the toe in. Now the toe strikes first, turns the blade open, does all these horrible things. So the fitting of a long iron is quite important if you're going to have it. So yeah, and the length of the club crucially as well. So obviously these are my fitted clubs, so no real excuse. So I'm going to get my ball position carefully correct and then just feel like I'm sweeping and not gun it too hard. It's got to be nice and smooth. So long iron hitting is difficult, and I'm not going to tell you it isn't. I'm not always going to tell you that you should have a long iron in your bag, but that was all right. It's about right really, 200-yard carry for me. It's about all I can get out of it in my old age now. So yeah, long irons, yes or no? 80% of you know, 20% of you maybe, right shot, right course. 5 or 10% of you that are good, strong players who probably need a long iron, then concentrate on ball position and angle of attack. See you all next week.